Okay, anybody else who wants to have a chat before I go and find the communist? Right, if no one else wants to have a chat, I'm going to go and find the communist.
God bless you.
God bless you, brother.
We watch you from Spain.
All right, ¿qué tal?
Muy bien.
Bien? Sí, me gusta España, me gusta la cultura de España y me gusta también la lengua
¿Has
de
estado en
España.
España?
Sí,
Muy
yo fui
bien.
en Colombia.
Colombia, vale.
Y España también, en Barcelona.
Barcelona, ok.
Pero ahora yo no recuerdo mucho mi español.
Bueno, habla muy bien.
Gracias, pero yo no tengo muchas oportunidades para practicar.
Bueno, pero muy bien, muy bien.
Sí, gracias.
God
Anyway,
bless you.
estoy buscando para la comunista. No, the other one. Where is he? Hieko, where is he? Where is he? Come back, Hieko. Right, let's have a talk. Let's have a talk. How about, what do you want to talk about?
First thing is just a question.
Yes.
So the question of the video today, the stream today, is called Tommy Robinson, End of the Road, question mark. So what do you think?
You're going to have to define what, for me, you mean by end of the road.
It's an open
Okay.
question.
So I don't
Where
think...
are we at?
Okay, yes. So I hope and I pray that we're at the end of liberalism and that we're seeing the end of the the classical liberal state and the liberal progressive state, which is what it's turning into, and that actually we've arrived at the birth of a Christian nationalist state. And that,
Movement or state?
both. I think there is a Christian nationalist movement that is now born in the UK. It's a major part of the patriotic movement. God willing, it will come to sort of define and guide the patriotic movement, and that eventually it will lead to the establishment of a Christian nationalist state.
And do you think that Donald Trump's influence and the influence of Christian nationalism in America is a model for here, or do you think they've gone down the wrong path?
I think that Christian nationalism in America is not fully worked out. It's still too liberal for my liking. There's still too much of classical liberalism within the Christian nationalism of America. So, for example, Trump celebrated handing out a Bible with the American Constitution in it and a couple of other founding father documents, which for me is horrendous. Like, why not? Because you shouldn't be putting those documents into the bind of a Bible, because they're not equal to the passages of Scripture. There's too much American nationalism in the Trump project. I'm trying to explain.
Go on.
Right? Christian nationalism sees the church as the foci of the national identity. It doesn't see the institution or the historical history of the institutions of the state as the foci of national identity. So there should be no swearing of oaths to the American flag. You know, there should be no civic kind of religion. But the state should be governed by Christian values and Christian principles, and that the resources of the state should be used for the purposes of God's kingdom and the cause of a wider Christendom.
So that sounds to me, forgive me if I'm wrong, like a sort of a Christian version of what some people might say Sharia law is like. In other words, God's law, the Bible, absolutely primary, everything else secondary.
Yeah, it is. I believe that there should be a state that is governed by Christian law, but you shouldn't assume that the evils and injustices that Marxists and socialists like you overlook inside of Islam are going to be necessarily replicated within a Christian legal system. For instance, central to the Christian legal system is that you have one body of law that is applied to everybody equally. You know, that's essential. So me and you would be governed by the same law. If I blasphemed, I'd be punished by the same laws that would punish you for blasphemy.
Okay.
You know, not I can blaspheme and you can't blaspheme. You know, not that I can kill you and get punished at a lesser rate than if you killed me, which is what something that in Islam teaches, and that Marxists and communists and socialists like you do very little to challenge or to tackle. You turn a blind eye to it. Yeah.
Tommy Robinson, for your fame, claimed that you converted him to Christianity.
I don't think he did.
He did. He said, I was watching Bob. His muscular Christianity led me to think Christianity is like my path.
So that would be an
influencing
factor. Influencing factor.
Do you think that, like, for example, you've been at Speaker's Corner for a while. Danny Tomo used to come down here.
Yeah.
Do you remember him? And he's also become a Christian, so
yep.
he says. Tommy Robinson says he's a Christian. Lots of people, Russell Brand says he's a Christian. Lots of people who perhaps otherwise would not have been seen as the automatic flock of Christianity suddenly have become Christians.
Yeah.
Do you not think, like, maybe because of their personal behaviour or their backgrounds, not that people can't
change,
make amends and change,
yeah.
But do you not think that maybe that might be watering down the purity of your concepts?
Well, I mean, the reality is that when you build alliances, there's always that danger. But the point of a Christian political project is the same point of any aspect of a Christian life, which is that we've got to be faithful to our own religion and faithful to our own teachings, which means that, for instance, you know, we can have no truck with ethno-nationalists who are trying to infiltrate the patriotic movement. But equally, this is one of the reasons why I'm a critic of the MAGA movement.
Yeah.
Because exactly. but it's one of the reasons why I'm a critic of the MAGA movement, because there's too much of American liberalism inside of the MAGA movement, you know. And so let me finish. Okay. So I celebrate, and I'm happy that Danny Tomo has become a Christian, that Tommy Robinson has become a Christian. God willing, Liam Tufts is going to become a Christian. I hope you listen. Liam Tufts is the best friend of Tommy Robinson. He runs The Dozen, which is a podcast, like the Joe Rogan of the UK. Anyway, but the point is, just as if someone became a communist today because of your work, you wouldn't expect them within a week to be an expert on the intricacies of Marxist theory, right? You would expect them to come to someone like you and to learn Marxism from someone like you. In the same way, I say to Danny Tomo, I say it directly to Danny Tomo, to Tommy Robinson, you need to be putting yourself under good Christian teachers. Ricky Doolan is not one of them, he's not a Christian. You need to be putting yourself under good Christian teachers so that you can learn what it means to be a Christian.
Okay, so you've led me on to the question I was going to ask, or one question I was going to ask supplementary to that, which was, in your opinion, what branch of the Christian church should people follow? So other than your own interpretation, who would you turn to and ask that Tommy Tomo and whoever else, who should they listen to for Christian guidance?
Right. So, firstly, we got to dispel a certain myth that is assumptive to the question, which is there is this idea of a true institutional church. There is not one true institutional church. Right. There is only one body of Christ, one church, one Holy Catholic and Apostolic Church that has given rise to different institutions, which, to confuse everyone else, we've also called churches, right? I am not interested which church all of these people join. So long as let me finish. Let me land. Let me no. Let me land. Let me land. Let me land. Let me land. Let me land.
Sorry.
I am not interested which denominational institution they join, so long as it's a Christian one, and Ricky Doolan's church is not a Christian church.
So any Christian.
It's got to be a Christian church. But, and here's landing on the question, because you know I always answer questions. The one church that has stood shoulder to shoulder with the patriotic movement is the Confessing Anglican Church.
Okay.
And by the mere fact that from the first moment of both of the patriotic movement to the present, the Confessing Anglican Church has been there on every march, on every protest, and has suffered the same flack that every other patriot has suffered, then I would encourage all patriots to come under the stewardship of Bishop Kai of the Confessing Anglican Church.
Okay, well, a question I would ask then. Tommy gained a lot of support based on his campaigning against rape gangs or in the north of England.
Which, as Marxists and communists, you ignored and you whitewashed.
Let me finish. So he gained a lot of support for his work fighting against what he called Muslim rape gangs or so on. But what's your view then of how you can approach the question of why the focus on that when the Catholic Church, the Anglican Church have all been involved in long-term sex scandals, child abuse scandals over decades?
Well, I would,
only decades, but
yeah,
but
I would just
all come out,
sure.
you know.
I would just point out the sheer hypocrisy of the question, because I don't remember you coming here and talking week after week about the genocide of Armenian Christians in Artsakh. I don't remember you. No, hold on. I'm pointing out your hypocrisy first. The hypocrites of the Marxist socialist left. I don't remember you coming down here and talking about the occupation of northern Cyprus or the occupation of Artsakh or the genocide of Nigerian Christians, but you come down here on a regular basis to villainize Israel and talk about the Palestinian occupation, and you would probably defend it, and you would probably defend it, and you would probably defend it by some kind of logic that says, well, if you dilute your causes, you diminish your causes, so you need to focus in on something to advance that cause. By the same logic, yes, Tommy Robinson could have launched a crusade against the paedophile rings within the Roman Catholic Church, but American journalists had already done that successfully and had resulted in massive changes of behavior within the Roman Catholic Church to deal with paedophile priests. But the British establishment, facilitated and supported by the Marxist socialist left, hid the industrial level of rape of white working class children by Muslim rape gangs in this country and didn't want to talk about it. And Tommy Robinson forced the British establishment to acknowledge it and to start to deal with it. And rather than thank him, like you should have as a man of justice, instead you villainized him for it.
Well, I didn't do that.
Anyway, go on. Next question.
What I asked was slightly different. So
I thought maybe I missed it. Go on.
The nuance on it was, if Tommy Robinson is against Muslim rape gangs,
Yep.
then surely him and yourself
Yes.
have to, as vociferously, oppose Christian abuse inside the church, institutional abuse of children by the Catholic Church, by the Anglican Church,
So-
and all the rest of it, which has been recorded over decades.
Right, so let's answer the question directly, but let's again first point out the hypocrisy. Because if he is,
I'm asking you, so it's not
but
about
because
my
if he is
I'm asking
vociferously against the occupation of Palestine, he should therefore be vociferously against the occupation of northern Cyprus and of Artsakh. And if he is saying, if the Marxists are saying, because I've never seen the Marxists march against the ethnic cleansing of Christians in northern Nigeria, and I'll take them more seriously when they do. But what we notice is, no, are you triggered? Are you triggered? No, are you triggered? 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 Let me answer, let me deal with your point, because I'll just keep talking until you do. You know I will. What needs to happen?
Is that a promise?
That is a promise. What needs to happen is for Marxists like you to come to this park and speak upon the genocide of Christians in the Muslim world and the persecution of Christians in the Muslim world and the colonization of Christian lands by Muslims in the Christian world, like northern Cyprus, like Artsakh, like northern Nigeria, like the persecution of Christians in Egypt and the persecution of Christians in Pakistan. Now, he says that if we are going to march against Muslim grooming gangs, which we all should, and so we look forward to the day that you join us in doing that.
I was there the last
Right?
I
But
wasn't marching with
yeah,
you,
you weren't
but I was
marching.
there.
Exactly.
I was
You were
there.
not
I
marching
was in number
against.
like everybody
You were not
else.
marching against Muslim rape gangs. You were there condemning those
I
that
was
were.
there to
That's what you were
observe. I was
doing.
there to observe
Now,
Robbie Robinson's protest.
to answer your question even more directly, should Christians work against paedophile priests in our churches? Absolutely.
Yes.
And we have dealt with them. We have now in our churches some of the tightest safeguarding rails of any institution for the protection of children. And I'll say it right
But it
now.
was concealed.
Hold on.
It was concealed for
I'll
many,
say it
many
right now. I'll
decades.
say it. Yes, because they were paedophile grooming
top.
gangs
At the top.
working inside
At
the
the very top.
Catholic Church.
Yes, and the
But
Anglican-
notice,
and the Anglican Church.
condemn the
And the
Muslim
Anglican
rape gangs.
Church.
Condemn the Muslim rape gangs.
condemn them.
No, condemn them. Say the Muslim rape gangs. Say the Muslim rape gangs. Say the Muslim rape gangs should be condemned. Say it.
The problem with that argument
But he was happy to say Roman Catholic. He was happy to say Roman Catholic. But he was not happy to say Muslim.
Roman Catholic sexual abuse scandals were directly connected with the institution of the church, whereas the alleged Muslim
Alleged Muslim. Do you see the hypocrisy?
They're not connected
Do you
with
see
the
the hypocrisy?
Yes, they are
Yes, they
people who
are.
are
Yes, they are. Yes, they are. I'll tell you how they are. Because many of the imams of the mosques knew what was going on and they kept silent.
It is not the same thing.
Yeah, not the same. So it's not the same when Muslims rape white working class girls, but it is the same when perverted Roman Catholic priests raped little children. Everyone is seeing your hypocrisy.
It's not hypocrisy at all.
Everyone is seeing your
The
hypocrisy.
Catholic Church and the Anglican Church, it was the vicars and priests and the institutions of the church that were organising and orchestrating the sex. It's not hearsay. There are investigations by the Catholic Church, by the Protestant Church,
All of them.
by the Anglican
Every
Church.
bishop, every priest, every bishop, every
In the last
priest.
3 days.
There you go, every bishop, every priest, every deacon. You're all guilty because Christophobia is alive on the left, ladies and gentlemen. Alive on the left. Stand up to the Christophobes. Don't let them dominate the narrative.
Because as far as I know,
We're still waiting for him to condemn Muslim rape gangs, and he isn't doing it.
I'm not saying that there are no mosques that did that, but I have not seen any such reports about mosques.
Imam Abdul Halim Khan gets a life sentence for monstrous attacks on 7 women and girls, ladies and gentlemen.
That's very recent.
14th of May 2026. Muslim rape gangs are still operating in the UK. And Muslim women and wives are silent about it. Muslim brothers are silent about it. Muslim imams are silent about it. And he won't condemn it, but he feels able to condemn all the Catholic Church. All the Catholic Church. That is exactly what you said. Why don't you apologise for being a Christophobe? Why don't you apologise for being a Christophobe? For being a Christophobe.
I'm not a Christophobe.
You are a Christophobe.
Am I a Christophobe?
You're a Christophobe. You spread lies about the Roman Catholic Church. You spread lies about the Roman Catholic Church, and you're an apologist for Muslim rape gangs.
I'm sorry, but you've given up arguing with me and you started bulldozing.
Right.
And I came to interview, I didn't came to argue.
Okay,
Right?
so we get back to questions then.
So that interviewing I've done. I don't mind debating later on.
Do you want to do a
But
time
then
debate
it
right
would
now?
have to be equality in time.
How about we
and so on.
debate whether the left is hypocritical and has double standards?
I don't mind doing all of that.
Let's do it now.
But no, we'll do it in a little bit.
Come on, don't run.
No, I'm going to go and speak. I've done my interview. We've had a little bit of debate on these themes. The theme was here, Tommy Robinson, end of the road, as I said to you, question mark. That we've dealt with reasonably well. I'm happy to debate you a bit later on in the day.
All right, always a
All right?
pleasure to talk to
See
you.
later.
Right, let me give you a gift. You know I always give a
Another
gift.
gift.
Always. Always.
A gift from the church.
I don't,
God.
we don't hate anyone. We don't hate anyone. You know?
I don't hate you either.
Only accept money.
No,
There we
I
go.
don't accept money.
So here you
A
go.
little leaflet.
Another little leaflet, just to remind you
You gave me
of
that
the.
last time.
Oh, did I really? There you go. It's got to happen at least once, hasn't it?
All right. You got another one?
Yeah, I'll find you something. There you go. Let's have a look. There you go.
That'll
Is
do.
the Bible true?
That'll do. Is it true? The Bible? Can we trust it?
Trust it.
Right. Thanks very much.
There you go.
See
You look
later,
after
yeah?
yourself. Take care.
See you later. Yeah?
God bless you.
Well done.
All right.
Any final thoughts on that combo?
Yeah. Everyone who is a Christian needs to start standing up vociferously and opposing the hypocrisy of the left and the communists and the left-wing agitators who live by double standards. They talk about Palestinian genocide, Israeli occupation, but they're silent about Turkey's occupation of northern Cyprus. They're silent about Azerbaijan's genocide of Christian Armenians. They're silent about the butchering of tens of thousands of Christians in Nigeria. They're silent about the industrial rape of white working class girls by Muslim rape gangs in the UK. We need to call out vociferously, forcefully and constantly all the hypocrisies of the left. Do not let them control the narrative. Construct your own narrative that prioritizes the concerns and the justices of the church, brothers and sisters. That's what we need to do. Because that march, the Nakba march that happened yesterday, let me just tell something, a little fact that the alt-left don't know. The Nakba was a disaster that was led by a member, a colonel, a former colonel of the Nazi Wehrmacht. A fact. It was a colonel of the Nazi Wehrmacht that led the Arab armies against Israel when Israel won its independence. Let me say that again to all you lefties and all you socialists. That disaster was led by a Nazi. A Nazi. And you don't know it because you are ignoramuses of history, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, furthermore, the Muslim Turkish society was siding with the Nazis. The Muslim Albanians sided with the Nazis. An entire regiment of the Waffen SS was made up by Albanian Muslims as they slaughtered Serbian Christians and Croatian Christians, ladies and gentlemen, as they butchered Jews. The chief imam of Jerusalem was a personal colleague of Adolf Hitler. Ladies and gentlemen, the left are ignoramuses. The Nakba was brought about by Islamist Nazi sympathizers. And when you side against Israel, you are siding with historical Nazism. It's continuity in the Arab world.
What do you think about the way that Israelis treat Christians, though?
Right, ladies and gentlemen. Israel isn't blameless. Israel discriminates against Messianic Jews and denies them their right to return to Israel. Israel has an extremist problem amongst its settlers who attack Palestinian Muslim and Christian villages. And then the Israeli state protects them. Israel, as we have seen, has a problem with Christophobes in its army who have abused Christian sites and symbols in southern Lebanon. I am not giving a blank check to Israel by calling out the historical connections between the Palestinian cause and its historical connections to Nazism or of the Islamists, ladies and gentlemen. These two threats, though, are not the same. Israel is problematic for Christians in the region around Israel. But because Israel is entirely dependent upon the West, Christian nationalist governments can and should reign in Israel and force Israel to deal with its Zionist extremists. The Islamists in the surrounds of Israel, though, are threats to the church entire. Because when they are finished with Israel, and when they are finished with the Christians of the region, those Islamists intend to prosecute their jihad against all Christians everywhere. And so, in terms of triaging your threats, we must first crush the Islamist dogs that surround Israel, and then when we have crushed the Islamist dogs that surround Israel, then, and along with doing that, we also hold Israel to account for its own abuses.